to be used and to do something for someone else. And I just want to take a minute to read the words on one of these plaques. They all read thusly: the First Baptist Church of Riverhead, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Award is presented to, and the person's name, for meritorious service. And the quotation: an individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow of his individualistic concerns to broader concerns of all humanity. On this day, January 21st, 2013. And I specifically am going to talk about two individuals who, like Dr. King, have much to do with bringing about the portion of his dream where people should not be known simply by the color of their skin. For these two individuals are intent on molding the content of the character of those with whom they work. The first individual, Professor James W. Banks, is an ex-Marine, a Vietnam veteran, a graduate of Fordham University, and none other than the School of Social Welfare at Stony Brook University. A psychologist, a social worker, and on top of that, a hypnotist.
It's affirmative.
On first blush, a very threatening individual, and not one you would likely call Dr. Love.
Ready for him to blush?
But that indeed is how he is also known. And you can read for yourself his many accolades, but when I picture Professor Banks, I always see his disciples, young men, not far behind, trailing him as little ducklings trail a mother duck.
Watch your language.
And he molds these people, and he gives of himself to make them see who they can be in this world. Not as second-class citizens, not as people ill-prepared to go on job interviews, not as those who should slack or slur in their study. But he really gives himself away every day, even as his official duties say that he is in charge of mentoring and advising many clubs and committees. This is something, when you see him, that you know is a little bit extra. And so it is, on behalf of the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Breakfast Committee, with great pleasure and privilege that I present to Professor James W. Banks the Martin Luther King Jr. Meritorious Award.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. First thing I wanted to say was, Reverend Dr. McNichols, could you please tell me where the grits are? Let me begin by thanking you for bestowing upon me this honor. I am humbled by it, and I wish to thank Reverend Coverdale, who I call my role model, as he is a role model to a lot of folks in this room. Let's give him another round of applause.
sir.
I want to thank him for recommending me, along with Mrs. Coverdale, Reverend Ligon, and the Martin Luther King Jr. Committee of the First Baptist Church of Riverhead, and all the many others in this room, and as well as those that are not able to be here, because I know there's a lot of us who aren't here, because we're elsewhere celebrating someone much more important. But I'd also like to take a moment to honor the veterans in the room. So will those of you who are veterans of our armed forces, please stand. Thank you for your service, because it's because of you that we are really here. I'd like to also thank the Suffolk County Community College administrators, faculty, staff, students, student government, and the members of the Black Male Network and the Black Male Associates Network, and the interns from the college who are my support every day. And I won't name all of you, those along with them who have been along my path as I've tried to endeavor to negotiate this planet, because I don't want to leave anybody out. However, maybe if we could take a quick moment before I close to ask those of you, if you have been someone with whom I have done business over the years, sat in the classroom with me, been a client or my teacher, sat through one of my classes, or went to a workshop with me, or spent time at a conference or a workshop, educating or talking with me, been my supervisor, colleague, or friend, or have had any dealings with me where either you influenced me or I you. Or more importantly, if you have ever included me in your prayers, please stand. It is also because of you that I stand here. And to all of you, I'd like to say, namaste. You see, Adil Pakivala said, he was the master yoga teacher, an attorney and keynote speaker, known as the teacher of teachers, says that it means there is a divine spark within us, and that is located in the heart chakra. And so I'd like to just move on and just say, when I'm called to think of some of the quotes that I pass out every day in the mornings to my colleagues, I remember one that said that light was referred to as God's eldest daughter by Thomas Fuller. This reminds me of the thing that my mom used to whisper in my ear. She would call me aside so my other brothers wouldn't hear, and she would say, she didn't want to risk that they might get jealous. She would say, "I love you, Jimmy." She called me Jimmy. All right? You are my eldest son, and you are the light of my life. Later in life, I discovered that she had said the same thing to my brother. When I call upon this memory, I then understand why, when I went through my experiences with illness, some of you know I was ill for quite some time, I remember that I didn't see, they say I died 7 times during that experience. And I begin to remember why that was important. It's because, like my mother said, and like all of you, I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel because I am the light.
Tell him, Dad.
Like all of you. So go out and illuminate the world. You don't have to be like Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, Malcolm X, Lewis Latimer, or Thomas Edison, or even Con Edison, or Lightning. That's how he to do this. And I want to say one last thing for all of you whose skin is fairer than mine in color. I want you to join hands with us and let's go to the top together. Because they say it's lonely at the top, but the problem with that is because often we step on others to get to the top. Instead of taking them by the hand and moving to the top as a team.
Libra.
And for those of you who have skin color that's the same as mine, remember there's a reason why they tell you to cook your meat until it's this color. Because I'm well done. So let me end by saying this to all my classes. Thank you for teaching me. And now go out and give some love to somebody. Because I, my friends, am well done.
Yes, sir.
And he's trying to act like he just put that shit together on the slide.
He did, that's why.
That's
He didn't stay up all night for that. He put that together on the way.
Our next recipient